Shalom, Israel. Shalom. This is Yaakov coming at you with some more scripture for you. So today we're going to do an in-depth breakdown of First Samuel, and we're going to start at chapter 1. And remember, this is an in-depth breakdown. But before we get started, I'd like to say all praises and honor to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, Thawada, Barakatha, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. Thank you. Many blessings to the kingdom of heaven, and also to the brothers and sisters out there doing the work diligently. Those out there who are pushing this information, pushing this wisdom, and helping each other out so we can grow this kingdom. And we got to push this kingdom, y'all. We got to get it together. So with that being said, we're going to jump into First Samuel, and I'm going to use my phone as well as my book. But for quick purposes, I'm going to use my phone. All right, so make sure you have your pens and your paper to write this stuff down. This is information that you need to take down so you get a better understanding, so you know what's going on with your. This is history. This is a history lesson. This is not what the Christians do. This is history lesson about your people. All right. First Samuel chapter 1 and verse 1. Now there was a certain man of Ramathath Zophim, which is Ramah for short, of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, and Ephrathite. So we're talking about Elkanah. This is the man we're talking about. These are his people. This is Elkanah. And he had two wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. So Elkanah had two wives. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. All right? And this man went up out of the city yearly to worship and to sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord, were there. So Shiloh is where they would go every year to do sacrifices unto the Lord and also do the Passover. Shiloh was where we went before there was a Jerusalem. There was no city Jerusalem at this point. This is early in our history. So there was no Jerusalem we go to every year. We would go to Shiloh, and this is where the priests were. And so Elkanah would go here yearly in order to give his yearly sacrifices. And he would see the high priest Eli with his sons. All right, verse 4. And when the time was that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife. So offered is basically, he was offering to his wife. It means he was providing for his wife. That's what offered means. It means to provide for, providing. And when the time that Elkanah offered or provided, he gave to Peninnah his wife and to all her sons, her daughters, portions. So he gave them, he took care of them basically. He provided for them. Verse 5. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion. He also gave her, so worthy is notable. He gave her a notable portion. For he loved Hannah, but the Lord had shut up her womb. So Hannah could not have children. Her womb was shut up. She was barren. All right. Verse 6. And her adversary also provoked her sore. So Hannah, she had certain women in her town that were actually saying mean things to her because she couldn't have babies. That's very cruel. And her adversaries also provoked her sore for to make her fret because the Lord had shut up her womb. This is Israel. This is how Israel, you know, black on black crime. Yeah, Israel hating on each other. All right. All right. So let's see, verse 7. And as he did so year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, so she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat. So the adversary was making her feel so bad. Hannah was making Hannah feel so bad that she couldn't even eat, that she would just cry, couldn't even eat. All right. And when it says she went up to the house of the Lord, this is in Shiloh again. This is Shiloh. And as he did, Elkanah, as he did year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, she which is her enemies, her girlfriends who were supposed to be her friend, but they're frenemies. They provoked her, made her feel bad, made her cry. She couldn't even eat. Verse 8, then said Elkanah, her husband, to her, Hannah, why weepest thou? Thou is you. Thou, remember that. Thou is you, and thine is yours. So thou, why are you weeping? Why are you crying? And why eatest thou not? And why, how come you're not eating? And why is thy or your heart grieved? Why is your heart grieved like this? Why are you messed up inside? Am not I better than 10 sons? Am I not better to thee than 10 sons? 10 sons equals wealth in our back in our history. 10 sons equals wealth. That's a perfect amount of sons. It means wealth. So basically, Elkanah is saying, I mean, why are you crying? You got everything you want. I'm taking care of you. You got cars, you got the house, you got the cable, you got internet, you got all the things you want, but yet you sitting up here crying. What's going on? I give you everything you want and need. So what is it that can make you cry or upset? Verse 9. So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon a seat by a post of the temple of the Lord. Okay, so keep in mind, so Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh. So they were in Shiloh, they had eaten, and Hannah rose up after everybody had their drink and everything. Now Eli the priest, he was sitting by a post in the temple of the Lord. So Eli is sitting there. Priest Eli, he's a priest of the Lord with his sons. Eli is sitting there. He's the high priest right now, Eli. He's the man. Eli is the man at this point. Keep that in mind. Everyone goes to Shiloh where he is. He's in control of this place. All right, so they go there. All right, verse 10. And she was in bitterness of soul and prayed unto the Lord and wept sore. Right? This is verse 10. So we're talking about Hannah. And she was in bitterness of soul and prayed unto the Lord and wept sore. So she's crying. And she vowed a vow. This is verse 11. And she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts. So now she's praying to the Lord. O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your handmaid, which is herself, you should look on the affliction of me, your handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man child. If you look on all the afflictions that I endure, and just give me a baby boy, this is what she's praying for, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. His head will never be shaved. What little speckle of a beard he get will never be shaved. He will never shave his head around the corners. He will keep your laws, statutes, and commandments. This is what she's saying to the Lord. If you give me, and this is one of the most pure things that a woman can do. She's never had a child. She doesn't know what it means to be a mother. But she said, you give me this one baby boy, I will give him to you. And he will keep all of your laws, statutes, and commandments. I'll make sure he does. That is deep. That is a deep prayer. That is a deep. Are your prayers this humble? Are your prayers this selfless? Do you pray this way? Do you pray this way? Let's get a precept. John 15 and 16 real quick. John 15 and 16. Because keep in mind, this prayer was prayed for before her son, which is Samuel, was ever made. She's praying for this prayer. She's praying for this prayer. All right, 15 and 16 in John. St. John 15, 16. You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever you shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you. So, you have not chosen me, but I have chosen you. Samuel had no choice in this matter. He didn't choose to serve the Lord. He was chosen by the Lord to choose him. The Lord chose Samuel before he was even born. Before he was even born. You understand that, Israel? Let's get another precept. Before he was even born, he was chosen by the Lord. We're going to go to Romans 9 and 11. Romans 9 and 11. For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God, the Most High, according to election, might stand, not of works that have nothing to do with what you do, but of him that calleth, but of him. And if you are not walking in the ways of the Most High, pray for that. Pray for that. Pray for that. Pray that you are chosen of him, that your footsteps in the past were connecting you the whole time. Pray for these things. Pray for these things. All right? All right, let's go back. So she's praying. She's praying in 1 Samuel 1, and we're back at, this is 11 we just read. So she's praying for this child, and he will serve you. He will serve you. I will give him to you. I will give you my only child. All right? Verse 12. And it came to pass, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli marked her mouth. All right? So, when I was young, I had an older sister, 4 years older than me, and my parents would give her certain rules, and she would sometimes try to break those rules, as most kids. I did too, and but for the most part, we were good kids. But sometimes she would try to break a certain rule, like leave out of the house when she shouldn't, and a certain phrase she would say to me, which we all, Israel, especially Judah, we know this. We in the Southern Kingdom, we know this, and she would say, "Why you clocking me? Why you clocking me?" Which we know that the clock is a watch. You watch, somebody. So when you're clocking somebody, you're watching them. So remember that this book is written by us. This is slang talk. This is slang talk where it says that Eli marked her mouth. Eli was clocking her. He was watching her. He was watching her speak, or watching the words, or not the words, but watching her mouth move. He's clocking her. He's sweating her. This is what it means. And it come to pass as she continued praying. Now she's praying before the Lord, that Eli, the high priest, the Lord's priest, Eli marked her mouth. He's clocking her from a distance. He's watching her mouth move. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart, right? Only her lips moved. Only her lips were moving. But her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken. So priest Eli is watching her from a distance, seeing her mouth moving, and he thinks she's drunk. All right? But she's praying to the Lord. Verse 14. And Eli said unto her, how long wilt thou be drunken? How long you going to be drunk, lady? You come up in the house of the Lord drunk like this. But put away your wine from thee. Stop drinking that wine, yo. This is what priest Eli is saying to Hannah. And Hannah answered and said, no, my Lord. Understand that she calls him Lord because that's her head. You understand? Yahweh Shai, man and woman. That's the order. No, my Lord. It just means my head. That's all it means. So you women out there who are too wicked to call the men of the Lord or your husbands Lord, and that's reverencing them. That's what it means to reverence them, to acknowledge them as your Lord, your head. If you're too proud to do that, you're too proud for the kingdom. You're not fit for the kingdom. If your man can call Yahweh Shai Lord, but he can't call you Lord, that is a problem. That will not float. That boat won't float in that kingdom. It will not. Not in our kingdom, it won't. No, my Lord, I am a woman of a sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. I'm sitting here begging God, priest Eli. I'm begging the Most High. I'm begging him. I'm pleading my case with him. Verse 16. Count not thine handmaid for a daughter of Belial. Don't consider me a daughter of Satan. Don't consider me that. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. For out of the abundance of my complaint and grief have I spoken hitherto. All right. So hitherto is until now. Up until now, all I've been doing is making complaints unto the Lord. Up until now, that's all I've been doing, priest Eli. Then 17. Then Eli answered and said, go in peace, and the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked him for. Go in peace, and the Most High God is going to give you what you asked for. That's what priest Eli said to her. Go in peace, and he's going to take care of you. Petition means appeal or request. That's what petition means. Verse 18. And she said, let thine handmaid find grace in thy sight. So the woman went her way and did eat, and her countenance was no more sad. So she was no more sad. Keep that in mind. She was no more sad. That means that she had faith. She believed what priest Eli said. That's faith. That's faith. Even the nasty Greek woman, that nasty Edomite woman in Matthew chapter 15, even she had faith. Even she had faith. Keep in mind, Yahweh said, great is thy faith, O woman. Great is thy faith. So he made that Greek woman beg like a dog. He didn't call her a dog. And he said, I know you got faith. I know you got faith. I'm going to go ahead and help your daughter out. Now get on up out of here, you nasty Edomite. She even had faith. So you have to have faith. So Hannah had faith just by what Eli said. The Most High give you what you want. Go in peace. He got you. You asked for it. He got you. And now her countenance had changed. Her countenance had changed. That means her facial expression had changed. She was no more sad. Verse 19. And they rose up in the early morning and worshiped before the Lord and returned and came to their house in Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah, his wife, and the Lord remembered her. All right. So they is Elkanah and Hannah. That's the they that we're talking about in verse 19. And when it says knew, it's talking about laid with her. They had sex. He knew his wife. They had sex that night. And the Lord remembered what she asked for. When they had sex that night, the Lord remembered what she asked for. And he made it so that she would conceive that night. He remembered her that night. Verse 20. Wherefore it came to pass when the time was come about after Hannah had conceived that she bare a son and called his name Samuel, saying, because I have asked him of the Lord. Verse 21. And the man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer unto the Lord the yearly sacrifice and his vow. Verse 22. But Hannah went not up, for she said unto her husband, I will not go up until the child be weaned, and then I will bring him, that he may appear before the Lord, and there abide forever. So she's going to wait till her son is off breast milk. And then after he's off breast milk, he's eating food, then she's going to take him up there. She's not going to take him now, she told Elkanah. She's not going to take him now. I'll take him when he's weaned. And when I take him, she said, I'm going to leave him there to live forever. This is what she vowed. This is what she said to her husband. 23. And Elkanah, her husband, said unto her, do what seemeth thee good. That is an upright man. He didn't make that vow. She made that vow. This is his baby boy too. This is not just her baby boy. This is his baby boy. She said, I'm going to leave him there forever because this is the vow I made for the Lord. And he said, do what you seem is good. Because he's an upright man and he knows his wife is upright. They're righteous. They keep the law, statutes, and commandments. He knows there's no bigotry going on. This is righteousness. This is righteousness. And Elkanah, her husband, said unto her, do what seems thee good. Tarry until you have weaned him. Only the Lord established his word. So the woman abode and gave her son suck until she weaned him. Right? And tarry means to hang around. Tarry means to hang around. So you just hang around and do what you need to do. Verse 24. And when she had weaned him, she took him up with her with 3 bullocks, one ephah of flour, and a bottle of wine, and brought him into the house of the Lord in Shiloh, and the child was young. So a bullock is a male cow that's used for beef. This is what a bullock is. It's a cow that's used, a bull rather. A bullock is a bull that's used for beef, right, for food. And if it's castrated, it becomes a steer, S-T-E-E-R. For those of age, I'm 51. So if those of age, you remember the movie officer and a gentleman. He said, I only see only things in Texas, I believe it was, steers and queers. I thought a steer was just, a cow with horns or whatever, but so a bullock that is castrated, that is a steer. That is a steer. An older steer, older bullock is called an ox. All right, and an ephah is a measurement. An ephah is a measurement. It's one bushel, or 33 liters. That's what this is talking about in the weight with the flour. 1 ephah of flour is talking about 1 bushel, or in our term, we understand 33 liters. That's what that would be, or almost like 9 gallons. That's what that would be like. That they took up. They got the bull. They got the 1 ephah of flour and a bottle of wine, and brought it to the house of the Lord in Shiloh. And the child was young. 25. And they slew a bullock and brought the child to Eli. This is priest Eli. He's the one that everybody goes to in Shiloh, which is the Jerusalem before we had a Jerusalem. We all go to Shiloh every year, so they took all this stuff to the high priest Eli. 26. And she said, O my Lord, as thy soul liveth, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by thee here, praying unto the Lord. She's saying to Eli, I'm that woman that was here. 4 or 5 years ago. That was me. I was here and I asked you to help me with the situation that I was praying for a child. I'm that woman that came to you and said this to you. Verse 27. For this child I prayed, and the Lord hath given me my petition, which I asked of him. He gave me what I asked for. Therefore also I have led him to the Lord. As long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord. And he worshiped the Lord there. She gave her child to the Lord. Hannah, who had no children, she gave her only child to the Lord. That is a multitude of levels of understanding. But we're just going to stick to this one understanding right now. Everything is double to that which is. Everything is. There are people who represent our whole complete nation in this book. There are people, single people in this book, sometimes represent our whole nation. Certain circumstances with an individual will represent nations. There's a multitude of understanding. So just keep that in mind, what Hannah has just done. Just keep that in mind what she's done. So this is the breakdown of 1 Samuel chapter 1. All right. So I hope you were edified and continue to dig. And I'll do a next one with chapter 2, and we'll just go through the whole book. So we'll make sure we're getting edified, y'all. We'll make sure we're getting edified, get the understanding. We have to get the understanding. Remember, our people are destroyed for lack of understanding. That's why with lack of knowledge, we're destroyed. So right now, that knowledge is now getting ready to increase. Well, it is increasing. The knowledge is increasing, y'all. The books are open. All right. So with that, I'm Yaakov, and this is a KOZ lesson in 1 Samuel, and we'll continue to go throughout the whole book. And with that, shalom.